Hello. I think we are good now. Let me know about audio and stuff, but we are here for round 5 of season 7 in tier 1 for the Spanish Grand Prix. We've got a 50% race coming up. We've got last drivers pushing for the best laps to be at the best part of the grid. Let's just get the track map on. As you can see, we have got into conditions, which of course make it a lot harder for the drivers to be able to manage and control and all of that good stuff. But currently, Scully in the Alfa Romeo is your pole man, unless the Williams of Car C can pip that time off, and they do. The 1:24.3, nearly a tenth quicker than Scully, so they will be your pole sitter for the race. Then we've got Scully, of course, and we've got Croaky in the Red Bull. Drakrai Cars, or whatever, sorry for the pronunciation, in the Aston Martin P4, and then Jim IFC retired. Ryan in the other Red Bull in P6. Then all of the other drivers have finished their laps, so on your screen now is the grid for the race. A lot of drivers, of course, not being able to get that final lap in due to retiring or crashing or pushing a bit too far. But we've got a 50% race ahead of us, and of course we will have to look. I'm trying to think of what I'm going to say. A lot of possibility is going to come from the race, but look how close that top two were. Only 8 hundredths in the time. So of course, as I said, Carsey in the Williams on the pole, and Scully lining up alongside on the front row. Then them two are kind of in a bit of no man's land, with the rest 3 tenths back, 4 tenths back. Croaky starting the second row, and then Dre Cars. Sorry, I'm not very familiar with the names here, so it'll be quite difficult with pronunciation and stuff, so apologies. I'm just accommodating to help out. Some good stuff. But we are getting ready for the race. It looks to be dry, which will be a relief for the drivers. So maybe some of the drivers didn't actually have their they had their dry setups on instead of wet setups on for the qualifying, so of course then couldn't get the most out of the track conditions. But we'll be getting going shortly, as you can see from the start time above on the top of your screen. Let me just check whether audio and stuff is alright, and we will be getting underway shortly. Right, the drivers on their formation lap, getting ready, looking after the tyres and all that jazz. Of course, this is one of the crucial parts, because if you don't, if you don't actually do a good first formation lap, or if you have contact with another driver and you're starting on cold tyres, that is not ideal and could harper your start, and therefore the race could unfold right in front of you. So it's really important that the drivers are looking after their tyres, heating them up correctly, and we will be getting underway for 33 laps around Spain. Spain quite a difficult track to manoeuvre, especially IRL with the changes in Sector 3. But especially coming up even Sector 2, up the little bit of a hill that you got in Sector 2, that'll be quite important for the drivers to bear in mind, and you know, make sure you don't lose the car. But of course, these are the best drivers in the league, Tier 1, the quickest drivers and the cleanest drivers. So we will see how they all perform. It's going to be a fierce battle coming up. I think that's someone already on the grid, so I don't know whether they just didn't get off the start or a disconnect or something. I'm not too sure. But we are getting ready now for the start of this race. Let me just get up the drive numbers, the standings. So your current, that's quite small. Your current standings leader is in fact the Williams. So there's a lot of stuff which we could dive into through the race, but the 5 red lights are going to go off soon, and that will be what we will be focusing on. I don't really know what's happened, why the lights aren't going yet, but we will see. Right, the 5 red lights are on, and we are underway. That looks to be a pretty slow start from most of the drivers. Carsey in the Williams making a very good start. Jim actually making up loads of positions up to second, with Croaky maintaining the P3. Scully losing 2 positions already on the start in that Alfa Romeo. So a pretty good start then. Carsey maintaining the lead, of course. Purple Sector 1 because they are leading the pack. Scully now getting up a little bit of wheel banging there between Scully and the Red Bull. And the other Red Bull has hit round the rear and he's spun round. So that's an unfortunate first lap from Scully, who's fallen down to P16. Carsey already making a second gap. As further back down, I don't know what's happened there with the AlphaTauri, but has gone off the track, and that is our first retirement. Luckily there is no safety car or virtual safety car about that. But just as I say that, Rambo has also lost it in Sector 2, and that looks to be a VSC. So the drivers will not be able to overtake, but they won't be all bunched back up. Yeah, a few drivers deciding to make a cheap pit stop. I think it's just a bit early to then try and make this a one-stop race, but some drivers coming in for a cheap pit stop, maybe if they had damage or something. For example, the Williams here got some wing damage and is using that cheap pit stop to come in, get a new wing, and to get on the way. So yeah, but already look how much of a lead Carsey has. Nearly 1.7 is the interval between Croaky and P2. There's a little bit of positions moving as we go green, with the Aston Martin getting past F2918 in the Alpine, who's going to be right on the tail in a kind of Aston Martin sandwich at the moment. But he's going to want to get past Drakkars down into the podium position. Of course, penalties could play a factor. On your screen was the pit strategy. Let's have a look at what the tyres are. Most people on the hards, apart from Otis in the Haas, on the mediums, and then the back three who made pit stops under that VSC are on the mediums as well. Scully gaining positions further back, up to P10 now as Carsey sets the fastest lap of the race, as DRS is enabled. Scully now really flying through the field, getting the fastest lap, and will nearly be on the tail of the Mercedes car, who of course he'll be wanting to hunt down. The field quite close at the moment, apart from Carsey, who's just really sped away from Croaky in the Red Bull. But could there be some tyre saving getting in? Could Croaky be saving a little bit more of the tyres to use later in the race? But we have got 30 laps to go in this race. We are currently focusing on the Haas of Jacob, who looks to get a little bit closer to the Aston Martin, a little bit more of a gap now, as DRS is open. Of course, DRS is going to make for a lot more overtaking opportunities. Otis is going to fall a little bit under pressure from the Mercedes car. Is going to desperately want a pass. Of course, Tier 1 is filled with all of the quickest drivers in the league. As Carsey gets his fast lap, and there is a spin, I think, from Nick in the Aston Martin. So falling down from what was a battle for P5, falling all the way down to P12. So that's a very unfortunate end to his race. Of course, he could just scully and climb all the way back up. Jim Park sets the fastest lap on those newer and soft tyres. And he keeps going, Scully, gaining another position. Of course, the Mercedes is going to be really fighting this now, but Scully has a lot of pace and is going to be hunting now down after that AlphaTauri. It's going to form quite a bit of DRS trains. It's going to be quite hard for the drivers to make an overtake, so it's going to be all in right and out pace. Mercedes really tucking in and getting the toe there of the Alfa Romeo, but is going to keep that position in P7. But Niall's not going to make it easy for Scully, and Scully's going to continue going and pushing, and you know, the pressure that Niall is going to give Scully, he doesn't look fazed by at all. Of course, Carsey, who's gapped massively out at the front, is your current championship leader, as we've got another retirement, and that looks to be the Alpine of F2918, and that could well be a safety car. We've got yellows waved through all three sectors. I'm waiting for confirmation on whether that is a full safety car or just a VSC, but I'd imagine it's a full safety car. It is indeed, as we see the safety car coming out of the pit lane. So that's a safety car. Drivers will be bunched right back up, and the advantage that I was talking about Carsey is just going to be diminished. And Croaky in the Red Bull is really going to be able to pounce on that safety car restart. But going through the championship is quite fierce at the moment. We're only 5 rounds in out of 12, and already Carsey's got a 43-point lead. over Niall in the Mercedes, who's in P2. Croaky deciding this is the right time to make a pit stop, and the Red Bull driver comes in to make a cheap pit stop on a safety car. He's going to change his wing. So obviously was driving with some damage, which was why Carsey's gap kept on growing. But he's now going to come out in P11. So it's dropped roughly 10, 9 places through making a cheap pit stop. Of course, we don't know wherever some other drivers are going to make pit stops. Of course, Croaky now going on to the mediums. Now, bringing the mediums for, like, I think 27 laps, that's going to be a tough order, and it may be that Croaky is now forced to do a 2-stop. But who knows, we may have some late safety cars or early safety cars or whatever is going to go on in this race. But we are approaching lap 7. Of course, the safety car is going to have to wait for all of the cars to bunch right back up, excuse me. But of course, some drivers have made some pit stops, so it'll take a few more laps for everyone to be bunched back up. Typically this is 3 to 4 laps, but we will see. It's all about circumstances. But let me just get the constructor standings up to go through them. Currently, Williams in the lead, so really Carsey leading that Williams team. Mercedes in second, Alfa Romeo in third, with Ferrari in fourth, Aston Martin in fifth, Red Bull P6, McLaren in P7, with AlphaTauri P8, Haas in P9, and Alpine, who only scored 3 points last race, down in 10th. So, currently, as it stands, Carsey will be extending that kind of lead that Williams have. But, yeah, we are currently lap 7 of 33. Around Circuit de Barcelona at Catalunya. A track that's first Grand Prix was held in 1991. I'm not going to do the quick maths in my head to find out how many years ago that was. I think it's probably like 32 or something, 33. A circuit that's lap record is actually held by Daniel Ricciardo in 2018. The safety car's in this lap. We are going to ride on in the current leader of this race car seat, still on that hard tyre, and we're going to see how late they will leave it, as the flags are going green and they look to have gone, I think. Yep, they have indeed gone. That looks to be a pretty good restart from the Williams driver, who's already pretty much made a very big gap compared to here, and the Aston Martin. Aston Martin has also made a pretty significant gap between himself and Jacob in third in the Haas, who's going to fall really under pressure by Scully, who's made a good recovery after that earlier spin. To Scully in P4. We have got the AlphaTauri of Nolan coming through. Of course, with Niall and Otis not too far behind. We've got yellow flag sector 1 and 2. That is Jesper. And the other Mercedes right down the back in P4 14, so must have had a little bit of an off there. But Scully is closing right back up. 3/10 is 3.5 tenths, 4 tenths is the gap between Scully and Jacob in the Haas. And they are a little bit far back from the battle for first between car seat and Drakars. But we are going to continue watching Scully, who's been rapid this race, and we will see how they will be able to perform. Coming through, there's a spin further back or contact or whatever with the McLaren. But the current battle is Scully is going side by side with Jacob coming into turn 1. Got the inside, and that is a lovely move. Jacob was almost a sitting duck to Scully's pace. So Scully's going to now almost fly away, is going to try and catch up to the Aston Martin in front, but 2 seconds is going to be quite long of a gap to build up. We've got another retirement. That is the AlphaTauri, who's just got off into the gravel and retired. The spin with E69F1. Trailer back there in P12, 5.3 behind the rest of the field. Bakassi already bridged the gap, so Drakars will not be having DRS as it stands, because Carsey's doing an excellent job to maintain and manage the pace in that Williams car. So Carsey leading with Drakars in P2. DRS is now enabled. Of course, they will not have the luxury of that. Of course, having a little bit of toe and slipstream more, which is going to really help coming down that long start-finish straight, which may actually help to actually stay in the DRS. But Carsey looks really strong in the left and right. Coming down into Sector 2 now. Let's get some that lap data on your screen on the top right. Currently in Sector 2, there's contact further back. And that is a lot of wing pieces going everywhere, and that will be a VSC or a safety car. That's actually, I think, a full safety car. Looks to be the Aston Martin had contact with the Haas, and the Aston Martin has just almost floated the wall and lost a lot of his wing. So that is another safety car in this race. The second, well, third if you include the virtual safety car, but second full safety car. And that will really, what's the word? Now really help the drivers at the front, because 23 laps is, like, you can make 23 laps on the mediums. Of course, they're going to be quite worn at the end. But also, it's good for the drivers who have already pit. Let's have a look at the drivers who have already pit. We've got Jim Park, who's done 2 stops. Kroki 1 stop. Zaki with 2 stops. And, of course, the other drivers behind are making pit stops. Jacob is coming into the pits as well. So those drivers are going to be able to really look after their tyres, maintain the tyre wear, and that is going to really help come the end of the race, because if you want to keep the tyres alive, then it's important that you make sure that it is all sorted out. But we have got lap 11 of 33, and as Jacob pits. Well, I don't know why I said egg. BRT Jacob, because he's pit, the Haas driver, Jesper in the Mercedes, has got past. Of course, will be on 2-lap fresher tyres. Jacob, the only one with a penalty so far. A 5-second penalty that may have been a collision or speeding in the pit lane, but we've got 12 drivers still racing. We started with 18, we've now got 12. As of course 6 retirements in a third of the race. So we've already got a third of the race done. The drivers are gonna be right back up close to each other. And we are, I think we will still not be, we'll be a few laps away from getting back racing. The tyres are on your screen. We've got a few people still on the hard tyres as people try to shift onto the mediums. A typical strategy around this track on a 50% race is the harder medium. Let's look at the big gains. Nick gaining 13 positions. So pretty good day for the Aston Martin driver. Also, Zaki Boy up 9 positions, up 10 now, with Croaky falling back. So I don't really know what happened. I think that looks to have just gone wide, and of course if a driver goes off the track, then other drivers are allowed to overtake. But Jacob pits again, so that's gonna hold this safety car out for longer than it needs to, and is leaving the pit lane now onto a set of mediums. That was smart, to be fair, to get that 5-second penalty removed. Scully gets 5 seconds now for a collision with the Mercedes of Nail. So that will put a real spanner in the works, because of course Scully hasn't made a pit stop, and that means he'll have to serve it, and that's gonna hold a bit of toll on him. But I think that was 5 seconds. Yes, it is. A safety car is in this lap, so we're gonna have a watch of this restart. How late is Car C going to leave it this time? Holding everyone up a lot more, and they've gone. Catching the Aston Martin a little bit napping, who's going to now be held a little bit under pressure by Scully. Goes side by side into turn 1. Scully on the outside, which typically is pretty good for this chicane. It's head to 1, and that's a spin. Niall fall all the way back after a little bit of contact in that chicane. Got a yellow flag in sector 1, as that's Jacob retiring in the pit lane. Scully now up to P2, but of course has that 5-second penalty. Drag cars in the Aston Martin, currently in Aston Martin P3 and 4, going to be chasing after Scully. Now the question is, with Scully's pace, will they be able to fight with Car C? Are they going to be able to grab that, what's it called? Are they going to be able to get the attention of Car C due to the pace? Of course, Scully's pace has been eye-catching for me as a commentator. But of course, there's still a long way to go. Car C has been really strong, being able to maintain a gap. Of course, though, this long straight is not going to really help Car C with the clean air, but of course, Scully's going to have the dirty air, but also a slight advantage due to having the slipstream in the toe, which is very important on this track. They've already gained around 2/10 in this lap, only 4/10 back from Car C, who's managing the pace pretty well. Further down we've got Croaky, who is catching up to the back of Jim Parr. Potentially look to perhaps make a move. Coming down into sector 3. We're coming down the hill. Into sector 3 we come. Kroki 4/10 quicker than the previous lap. But we're nearly halfway through this race. Carsey's still your leader, who has led from pole position. As DRS is now enabled. Excuse me. So DRS enabled. And Scully is going to be within that DRS train. It's in the range of Carsey, but it's going to actually have then give DRS to drag cars. Kroki losing a load of positions there, who's been quite unlucky this race, to be honest, with contact and all other sorts of stuff. So that's a bit unfortunate for them. But nevertheless, P10 still points, and at the end of the day, keeping out of being retired. Of course, I think every driver will be wanting to fight it as much. I don't know what I'm waffling about, but we're going to keep going. Carsey is currently your leader. Has actually just set the fastest lap on Warn Hard, so really showing that pace. Of course, still yet to make a pit stop. Doing well to keep Scully out of the DRS range. The only way Scully is actually creeping a little bit in is down towards turn 1 of the start-finish straight. But as I was saying, Scully already 1.2 behind. Dracars rather, in the Aston Martin is now going to be able to catch up to Scully, because Scully's not going to have the help of the DRS, and the Aston Martin driver is going to be catching up with Scully. Going to try the absolute best to be able to make a move of some sorts. But we are still luckily under green flags. We got some racing going on. Otis getting overtaken further back by Niall, who is getting through in that Mercedes car, which is looking racy. Kroki doing well to gain positions as well after that earlier incident. Also, pretty good recovery from the McLaren. The safety car is really helping everyone to bunch back up, and the people who were very unlucky at the start of this race we're actually now being able to catch up. But anyway, Scully, as I was talking, was passed by drag cars and a little bit of actually understeer coming up this sector 3 up the hill, and about to come down to the chicane. Watching on board now, come through the chicane, which can be very tight with track limits. But let's have a pretty decent exit coming out, and is going to have the DRS open on this start-finish straight, and you can already see drag cars, who is already looking to defend the inside, but Scully is just way too far back to even attempt a lunge or a move of any sorts on drag cars. But of course, we do have 2 DRS zones. one in sector 2, and one on the start-finish straight. So of course Scully will have another chance down the sector 2 hill, down just before the chicane, to potentially make a move, and I think that was most likely where Drag Cars was able to make the pass. But the drivers surely must be thinking of making pit stops now. From P5 below have made a pit stop apart from Niall. So it looks to be that the McLaren will inherit the lead after the drivers have made a pit stop. So I think the front guys will be really hoping for a safety car of some sorts. Otis is ghosted, must have disconnected or something, and that is allowed back up. As I was saying, people thinking about pitting, Scully has come into the pit, potentially thinking of undercutting Carsey or drag cars. Scully's gonna most likely fall down to back as Croaky has also come in. Obviously the wear on the medium tyre was not very good. Scully, of course, will have served the penalty, I would have thought. So of course we lost even more time, so maybe an undercut would actually help and work in his favour, because of course he won't have to think about that come the end of the race. So that's kind of evened the field out a little bit. E69 F1 catching up to Nick. As I was talking about that DRS being really critical, and was able to catch right back up to the rear of Nick in that Aston Martin. Driver who has done very well in this race and is going to inherit the lead once the drivers have come into the pits, as Nick does. So E69 is going to move up into P3, 2 seconds behind Drakkars, who's yet to pit, and Carsey, who's also yet to pit. And with 30 laps to go, they may think of stretching out the hards even longer and potentially going onto a soft stint. Of course, a little bit of a shake-up on the order now. So now, of course, Scully down to P9 after serving at 5 seconds. So Nick is P7. So I think Scully was ahead of Nick and is now behind by quite a big margin. Only, I think, around 2 seconds. So actually that undercut has kind of worked in Scully's favour. But Scully's pace has been rapid, is not quite in the DRS of Jim Park, but is pretty close to be getting in it. Of course, will be on the better tyres. Croaky down the back and has a penalty. The only driver with a penalty. Carsey is in, so your leader is in the pit lane. I wonder, Drakkars is going to continue going, but Carsey is in. Let's see where Carsey will come out in relation to the rest of the cars. Carsey coming in, it looks to be a pretty decent stop onto a medium set tyres. Carsey coming out, and Niall's also in for his one and only pit stop. Carsey is going to come out in front of Nick as Scully, so it's the fastest lap of the race. So from seconds to 4th on your screen, E69 Jesper Zaki Boy. They made a good choice to pit under whichever safety car they were under. So they have done a masterclass of a strategy here, but of course Carsey is rapid, and although it's 9 seconds back, will try and use all the pace they have to catch up. Of course, we've still got 12 laps to go, so still anything really could happen in this race. Lucky Boy doing pretty well, and that's Scully out. Scully is DNF'd. Just lost it there, and that looks to be another safety car. because it's covering quite a lot of the track. That's really going to help drag cars who's yet to pit. Funny that came out a little bit earlier, who could have pit just then as Zaki Boy does. That's going to really help drag cars whose tyres will be feeling it now to be able to make that cheap pit stop. But of course it's also going to help Carsey, who is going to be right bunched back up, right with the rest of the guys. So we will see. So we are under safety car A4. Safety car, I think. I'm waiting for one of the electronic boards, but I don't think it's a 4. I think it's just VSC. Because I think the safety car would have come out, or maybe it has come out, because the Red Bulls look to have just passed it. So I think we are under full safety car. Yeah, we are. So full safety car, the cars and drivers are all going to be bunched right back up together. And this is going to be a thrilling into the race. As I said, drag cars would pit, and also E69 and Jesper have come in, which means that Carsey will most likely take the lead of this race. If the driver, actually probably won't, because the drivers will be coming, coming out of the pit soon. And they will. So Carsey, I don't think will inherit the lead. But has done well to actually catch back up. Will make one position, I think. Yes, he will. Carsey up to P3. And Jesper losing a place down to P4. Really helped Carsey with the strategy, only of course 1 lap older tyres than the other drivers. Excuse me while I quickly check my messages to make sure everything is alright. But it should be, I would think. Lovely stuff, we are all good. So we've got 10 laps to go as IRL F1 starts. The only person with a penalty is Croaky. Let's have a look at the penalties. Got 3 seconds, so won't be able to serve at the pit lane. So that will be held on them for till the end of the race. Everyone has made their pit stop. There are the tyres on your screen. Drakars thinks that it's going to be able to make 10 laps on the soft tyre, as well as I think that is Zaki Boy. It is Zaki Boy pit and is now on the soft compound. Jim Park 7 lap old tyres, and Otis 12 lap old Haas, of course, still ghosted. Drakars leading on the fresher compound. Safety car will come in next lap, I would imagine, because the pack are pretty much back closed up together. A load of people position have moved up and down positions. E69 in particular, and also think about Nick up 13 positions, Zaki Boy up 10 positions. So a lot of people making some big gains, of course. We've had 8 DNFs, so we only have the top 10 left, so all of these drivers will be getting points at the end of this. Alright, so as I said, safety cars should be coming in this lap. Coming up this sector 2 hill, whoops. Sorry about that. Yep, safety car in this lap. They usually announce it just before the chicane, which they have. So drag car's going to be leading the pace, as of course no drivers are going to be able to overtake until the timing line. As I start to kind of lose my voice a little bit. Sorry. Jackass is gone. A pretty good restart. E69 F1. Going to be hunting down though the drivers getting past Haas that is now driving. So just being able to get back in. Crokey fallen back a lot, so that must have been some incident that went on. But Drakars leads the way on the fresh, soft compound. Should have a lot of the pace. We have 8 laps to go in this race. Lap 25 of 33. Car C is going to want to try and overtake the drivers ahead. The safety car really helped to manage those tyres and to get back up the order. After being a bit unfortunate pitting without a safety car, meaning they lost a few positions. But Drakars with the fastest lap on those new softs, as expected, and kind of gapping E69 a bit, just showing how much more pace those softs have. The softer compound has, but that also means that potentially they could lose a little bit to towards the end of the stint, so towards the end of the race. E69 could actually have more tyre and more pace, so could potentially catch a little bit up, as of course Drakars softs will be degrading a little bit more than E69's mediums will be. But Drakars has the pace advantage at this moment. Car C is still kind of instrumentating a 7/10 gap to E69, so when the DRS is open, that will help him quite well. Excuse me. I'm kind of still losing my voice after doing 3 commentatings in a row this weekend, but DRS is now enabled as we have 6 laps to go. In this race, that is lovely use of the curb from Carsey there. Coming out of the chicane down to where sector 2 begins, already 1/10 up on the time. That DRS is going to be helping, and also that toe, which is getting lovely from that McLaren driver in P2. Carsey being able to extract a lot out of that Williams car. That is soon actually going to be right at the back. The DRS is open, coming down the hill. And now this undulated track is going to come right back up the hill, up into sector 3, before coming down the hill again, and going into this tight and twisty chicane where the sausage curves can really trap you out. But a lovely exit there. It's going to have the toe, going to have the DRS and the slipstream. E69 not really defending it, it's just kind of letting Carsey through, could have defended the inside a bit more, but Carsey had the outright pace with the DRS, and that is a lovely move. And Jesper Mal nearly in DRS range, so could also pose some harm to the McLaren as the McLaren starts to fall down a little bit from Carsey. So now Carsey is not being held up by a drag cars, can kind of hunt a little bit, can hunt for drag cars rather, as it's not being held up by E69. Apologies for a little bit of a mix-up there. But we are still racing. We've got around 5 laps to go. Drag cars doing a master of a strategy. Debating on whether there be a final safety car, and of course there was. Like that. The soft compounds, it looks to be the fastest tyre at the moment, but as I say that, Carsey sets the fastest lap on the medium tyre, so Carsey will, which shows that Carsey's pushing. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3, I think that is Croaky, is now coming into the pits. A unfortunate race for Croaky, to be honest, and also for the Haas car coming through sector 3 of Otis Beckmars. But drag cars leading the way, losing a little bit of time to Carsey behind, so will they be able to maintain that gap for the final 4 laps? But we are still going in this race. Of course, you can see there at the top right of your screen that drag cars was 5/10 back in sector 2 and didn't really make too much of a mistake, so really showing that the tyres are dropping off, and that's really allowing Carsey to catch right back up. And once Carsey's in the DRS, you saw how powerful the DRS was down that start finish straight. And E69, I was about to say, is going to have the opportunity, but has spun on the sausage curve coming out. Very easy to do, especially if you just go a little bit wide. But we have 3 laps to go in this race. My voice is just about holding on, so I'm going to be continuing. Niall now going to be catching up to the McLaren driver who spun, who was doing really well to stay up in a podium position, and it's just been very unlucky towards the end of this race. But anyway, the field quite spread out a bit, to be honest, at the moment. The only real battle we have going on here is Niall. And also we also have to be aware of Carsey in P2, who is slowly catching up and degrading that gap that drag cars had to Carsey. I think it was around 1.5 when Carsey overtook E69. But now it's dropping down to nearly a second, so we'll have the DRS down the start finish straight, I would imagine. For saying that, Zaki Boys has gone. Has lost it coming down the hill. But drag cars is going to be put under pressure by the DRS run Williams car of Darcy. Kind of ironic with the Duracell sponsorship. With 2 laps to go, will they be able to get up to P1 as Niall behind in the Mercedes gets past E69F1? Although, still probably be able to fight it, to be honest, because it's only, the gap's only 3/10. Lovely catching up there in the corner. I think that's just really pure that it's in the corner, but Nell's getting some really good exits of the corners here. Croaky setting the fastest lap, of course, pitch for the new soft tyres. But we've got 2 laps to go in this race. And Carsey may very well be able to overtake drag cars. Uh, as well as also, we'll have a little bit of an eye down at the McLaren chasing after the Mercedes. But Dracar's already defending the inside. Tried to break the toe from Carsey, who's now right at the back of Dracar's. Can they hold it for one more lap? And basically 2 DRS zones. Because this track is very hard to pass unless you're in a DRS zone. But yeah, we got a yellow flag in sector 1, and that is the McLaren. Very unfortunate ending for them, of course. That would be a safety car, but we have too few laps to have a safety car, so it will not be a safety car. We are under green flag conditions for the rest of this race. Carsey right up the back of Dracar's, and is going to have a lovely run, of course. Just had the DRS there, and it's going to have the DRS down the start-finish straight. Is Dracar's going to have enough margin and enough fight, really, to keep Carsey at bay in the Williams? So coming through to start the final lap of this race, we've got yellow flag set to 2 and 3. As Carsey using that slipstream, and Dracar's again breaking the toe, but that mediums just looks so much better than the softs. And of course, Dracar's has had to seize that position. 1 DRS zone stands. Dracar's very lovely exit there. Still so close to the Williams car. Staring really at the rear, a little bit wide coming out there. And Zaki Boys is DNFing in the pit lane. But Dracar's went a little bit wide and is falling a little bit far back from Carsey, and I think if he can't make the pass on this DRS straight now, then that may be his race done. On the final lap, we've got the best racing to end this race. Dracar's just couldn't make the position. The last hope will have to be that DRS on the start-finish straight, which he won't have for long. But I think Carsey will win this, as we have 10 retirements and 8 drivers left, as Dracar's goes a bit wide out there. But it'll be Carsey in the Williams, who had a mastery strategy and has come through to win the Spanish Grand Prix. Dracar's drove phenomenally to get P2 as the AIs bash into each other there. Jesper has climbed through right from down at the back to climb up the field. Nick in the other Aston Martin, P4, to double points for Aston, and also double points for the Mercedes, P3 and P5. Jim Park in the other Williams. So top 3 teams in the top 6. We've got Croaky in the Red Bull in P7, and then Otis in P8 for the Haas. Croaky and Otis just coming through sector 3 to cross the line. But that'll be your race done then. It's been a pleasure to commentate for you guys. Croaky DNFing just before the line. Very unfortunate for Croaky. But the race is now finished. Your driver of the day is Nick, and Carsey wins in the Williams, as you can see him walk out to the podium now. A very well driven race, very intelligent when it came to the strategy. Pits just before the safety car, and we thought it was all over, but in the end of the day, the mediums turned out to be the correct tire to be on at the end. As you see the podium celebrates. So there we have it. There are your final standings. I've already kind of ran through the grid. That'll be it. I hope you enjoyed, and we will see you racing sometime soon.